AAT Birds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need. All about the birds, all birds, all the time.
And what's up, everybody? Got to switch to the right graphic here. Eagles, unfortunately, terrible, lackluster performance. We know already all about that, and we'll touch about a little bit on that. Then we want to get into the Eagles trade for John Metchie and a couple other things that we have on our minds here, but. Matt, how are we doing? You and I were at the game on Saturday, unfortunately, but a fun experience nonetheless.
I was going to say it's preseason. You don't necessarily need a win. It's nice to see as a fan, especially those who don't get a chance to go out to a game, but not a fun one to watch. But it's still fun to watch some of these young guys, gel and earn spots. And I know a lot of people are concerned about the depth in certain positions, and I get that, but also keep in mind, like, a lot of these guys, they're going to be playing in spot duty, one at a time. It's not going to be a full line, hopefully, and protecting Jalen Hurts, right? It's going to be one of those guys playing next to all pros. So just keep that in mind when we're looking at this and evaluating the team as a whole. Like, you really want to look at individual players in preseason, and I think when you did that, there were some bright spots. There was some real dark spots as well, and we'll get into some of those. But I thought there were some nice shining moments for guys battling for spots, especially at the back end of the roster and potentially practice squad as well. So, and what a great experience, man! Like that stadium, even for preseason, is rocking and rolling. Fans are pumped. The announcers in midseason form. Cheerleaders are doing their thing. Swoop, entertaining as always. It's just always fun to be down at the link, and I missed it. So I'm ready for September 4th for sure.
And the other really cool thing was we were able to see up close and personal the Super Bowl ring. That was another fun thing that we were able to see.
Yeah.
So topped it all off. But yeah, listen, we're not going to spend too much time on the game. It wasn't a very good performance, but again, that's what you're going to have when you have back end of the roster guys playing. That's just what it is, unfortunately. But you had some shining moments. Ja Campbell had a nice sack. You had Andrew Makuba make a couple plays, had an interception touchdown. That was an amazing play. He shot right through there, got the pick, and then he got the fumble recovery. So, listen, there were some good signs. There was a lot of bad, but listen, it is what you're going to get when you get the preseason. And again, coming this Friday, the preseason game against the Jets, you may see a little bit of some tough football, but you try and weave through all of the bad to see if you can pull out some good plays, some good performances. Listen, there was a couple things that I saw that I really liked, like Smile Mondon and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. You look at this linebacker group, and it's like this is one of the deepest linebacker groups that they've probably had in decades. Like, it's just that deep that you can go and look through the whole entire roster and you can count.
If you could go back 4 years ago and say wide receiver and linebacker are going to be strengths on this team, you'd tell me that I'm insane.
Listen, when I started this in 2020 and you told me that, I would have slapped you across the face and said, "You're such a liar."
Travis Fulgham still an All-Pro.
Oh God, that experience, man. There is. Oh,
I know.
Wow.
We were. It was a dark time. It was a dark time to be an Eagles fan, and we are in the golden age. So enjoy it.
Yeah, we don't have to go through Nate Gary as a starting linebacker anymore. Alex Singleton.
And there are a lot of teams that would give. I think we're a little spoiled because we see. We went from Slay to. At one point considered a potential first round pick in Keely Ringo. Like Ringo Ringo is not a terrible player by any means, but we expect more because we've seen greatness. We've seen the Super Bowl. A lot of teams would give, would give a lot to have players of this caliber like him and Bennett. But to kind of tag on, like I thought Montreal Johnson looked pretty good in his limited snaps. I think he only had 6 touches, but he had a nice kick return, showed some pop. It was nice to see him get back out there. I think Trotter played extremely well. That Jihad Campbell sack was incredible. If you look at the actual play design, did you see what happened there?
So I think, when we were all down in the tunnel area and we were coming up and getting everything
ready. The game. Yeah, we missed it. Yeah.
Missed that play, unfortunately. So unfortunately missed that play live.
Right.
But happened to see it then, of course. But yeah, at that point we missed that play.
So one of the cool things that they did there on that play, and this is like the genius of Vic, is, and this is why our edges need to be versatile, right? That's why they need to be able to at least be capable in coverage. Like BG again playing in the slot, not ideal, but like he made some nice plays there. On this particular play, Uche slid out over the slot receiver, and Azeez Ojulari wound up dropping back into coverage, almost like a sim pressure, right? Like they do with Bond and Dean last year in that Green Bay game and a couple other games as well. And what that does is it creates a mismatch in your pass protection. They're anticipating Uche to come off, or Azeez to come off the edge. They're sliding that way, or at least looking that way, which creates that split second for Jihad to have that sim pressure up the middle when the center had his back essentially turned to him. So really, really cool the way that Vic plays his front and toys with block deconstruction. I thought that was a really cool little wrinkle there.
Yeah, like we were saying, you take the good with the bad. And of course, that was the good. Smile Mondin, of course, Jeremiah Trower Jr., some of these guys are playing some good ball. It was nice to see Azeez Ojulari get a sack. You see him get around the edge there. So there were some positives there. Unfortunately, there wasn't too much of them.
Played really well, too.
I thought he played pretty well.
And you know what? That play where he hurt his hand, I liked to see what he did. He was trailing the play, came up behind the receiver almost and tried to punch the ball out. Peanut punch, unfortunately missed, and almost broke his hand. But it's good to see that he has that mentality. Like that ball needs to be ours. It needs to be out. He's already comfortable enough to make football plays. Like he's got that savvy. So it was nice to see that. I think you can see that he's getting more comfortable in that defense. And, we'll get into that a little bit more later, but I thought he was encouraging in that game specifically.
Yeah. And, let's just put it over, to the next area here. Like the Eagles go ahead and make a trade. They add wide receiver John Metchie. And of course, everybody throwing, the sirens, everyone getting all, oh my God, they got another receiver. Does that mean AJ Brown's really hurt really badly? He's not going to be able to play. And listen, AJ Brown is running routes. He's doing different, like if he had a big time hamstring injury, he'd be doing absolutely nothing. Like you wouldn't see him running around like that. You wouldn't see anything like that.
Yeah.
And again, you look at it this way, like early in the year last year, they had to throw out guys like John Ross and Paris Campbell to be able to get you some wide receiver reps. Like now you are deep enough. And unfortunately, in terms of talking with the injuries, like Johnny Wilson getting hurt sucks. I don't know how badly it is, but he had to be carted off. He was limping a little bit, then had to get carted off. But you look at this depth, this wide receiver depth, and you have AJ and Devontae and Dotson and Metchie and Cooper, Anais, Johnny Wilson. Like you've got some depth there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this has less to do with an area of concern, specifically around AJ, and more just like, hey, we can upgrade that position, right? Like we don't really have a true slot on the team other than maybe Anais. Everybody else can play it. Like Johnny Wilson's basically a tight end in this offense that can do some go balls. Anias is really only like two-way go guy. I know they like Smitty in there to get some mismatches, but having Metchie, who's just a technician from a route running perspective, I think was a no-brainer. Anytime you can upgrade your depth, you do it, especially if you only have to give up a guy like Bryant, who's not going to make the squad anyway. So I think it's more about just upgrading the roster as a whole and seeing an opportunity than it was, hey, we don't believe in Anias, we don't believe in Dotson, or we want to move Dot. I don't think that's anything. I think they're just stockpiling talent. And keep in mind, this guy has rapport with Smitty. I don't think he overlapped with Hurts, but I'm sure he knows him.
And he didn't overlap. I know Hurts was talking about it. Metchie was an early enrollee, but he missed Hurts by a couple months because Hurts transferred to Oklahoma.
But I know he played with Smitty. I know he's a big fan. I'm sure there's been some sort of familiarity with him and Dickerson, right, and some of these Alabama guys. So I thought it was a good move, a savvy move. I didn't understand it at first, but the more I look at it, the more it made sense.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. So, like, for me, like, looking at it, and you're able to do so many different things, and I really like that. Like, to me, like, looking at it, and a lot of people even said, like, you get John Metchie, and what does that do to the bottom receivers on the roster in terms of are they able to make their 53-man roster? And I think for me, looking at it, I think it puts really up in the air. And I know Anias Smith has looked a little bit better and has couple touchdown plays upon return. Now, the whole Johnny Wilson injury may come into play and keep Anias on the roster, because I think Darius Cooper's a lock. We've talked about it multiple times. It lock. And like for me, looking at Anias Smith doesn't have that in terms of being able to play on kickoff coverage, being able to play gunner, doing kick return. Like, he's doing so many other things too that really makes his spot almost nailed down. That Anias could be that guy that either, if they can't find a trade partner, maybe cut him and put him on the practice squad, thinking no one's going to pick him up. So it's going to be interesting. But the Darius Cooper hype is
a lock, man.
Yeah.
Cooper's a lock. And again, I'll continue to give your props. You call that like the day we signed him.
Yeah. It was like May something. I said during OTAs, I said, man, this guy, like, just watching him, he's going to be, can't wait to watch him and stuff. And it was one I got right.
When we ran through our UDFA show, you called it out as an interesting prospect. So, mad props. Yeah, I mean, he's getting first team looks, dude. Like, he's getting looks with Hurts. He's playing special teams. He's doing all the right things. Everybody's saying the right things about him. That some people think he might even be the third best receiver on this team right now, which is, I know, like, we've heard this a lot about, like, the Paul Turners, the Nay Browns, take your pick of all these ridiculous players that we've had in the preseason.
Rasheed Bailey, forgot to add Rasheed Bailey in there.
Raheem Mostert, who actually wanted to be a decent player, but Brent Grimes, was it Brent Grimes? What was Grimes' name?
Aaron Grimes, wasn't it? Aaron Grimes.
There are definitely preseason darlings, especially here in Philly. We love an underdog story, but Cooper seems legit, man. This guy feels a little different, which is crazy. Now, like, that's one position I wanted to talk about tonight. Is, like, from a 53 perspective, this makes a really tough decision, because although we think Cooper's a lock, they also have two guys that they traded for in Dotson. Like, AJ and Smitty, they're not going anywhere. They traded for Dotson and Metchie, so they're not going anywhere. So that gives you four. Like, assuming you keep six, you have Wilson, you have Anias, and you have Cooper. I'm assuming that Wilson may go on short-term IR, because I correct me if I'm wrong. I think the rule this year is they don't have to miss the first 4 games, do they? Or they don't have to miss the season.
Yeah, so I think there's two spots. Like, there's two IR. Like, you could put guys, think up to 2 guys up on IR before the cut down, and they don't go whole season. So okay. I believe that's what it is. But again, I think it could be definitely a candidate for missed the first 4 weeks.
I won't be surprised if Wilson gets put on IR just so they can keep Cooper and Anias without subjecting them to waivers, and then potentially looking to trade one of them, specifically Anias.
Yeah,
that's my thinking here. I don't see how they keep 6 unless Johnny Wilson goes on IR.
Yeah. Like the way I look at it is, like, to me, is if Johnny Wilson goes on IR, I still wouldn't be surprised if they just keep Cooper as the 5th guy, and then they still trade or cut Anaya Smith, and try and sneak him onto the practice squad if they don't trade him. Same thing with a Terrace Marshall. But I think a Taylor Morin would be more likely on the practice squad just because he can be that slot. Like, he gives you versatility there. He's been opening some eyes there. The practice squad spot for him, I think, is great. And again, he's going to be able to nail that spot down if he plays well again, because he had a couple nice catches in the Browns game. And if he does well in the Jets game, I definitely could see him on spot on the practice squad. But don't be surprised if Johnny Wilson does go on IR that they still only keep 5 guys and they trade Anaya Smith. Or if they keep Anaya Smith, then he'd be the 6th guy. But
trade him, who knows? That's going to be really interesting because now, like, I was pretty sure who the 6 were, and now with Metchie, it makes it a little bit murkier for sure.
They're tougher, big time. And like, you look at what they want to do with different positions. That's the biggest thing. Like, if Johnny Wilson goes to IR, do they just keep 5 knowing that, keeping an extra somewhere? Like you look at it because the tight end position, do they go 3 tight ends? Do they go 2 tight ends? I think they go 2, and then they keep 1 or 2 of these guys on the practice squad because they're just trying to play a numbers game. What do they do with the offensive line and the defensive line? Like, the edge rusher, I think, is the biggest thing when you look at who are they going to keep, because you look at the edge rusher position. We know a couple of guys, but the guys at the end that are all fighting for a spot or 2, the Patrick Johnsons, Okoronkwo, you have Uche, Ojulari, all these guys, APR. Like, do they potentially, like, he hasn't flashed too much. Do they cut him to see if they can sneak him onto the practice squad and keep one of the veterans? Like, there's a lot of stuff that
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets or
they cut one of the vets who are vested that they don't need to go through waivers and they can stash them on the practice squad, telling them, hey, you're going to be active week 1, but you got to be at the practice squad to start. Like, there's different things that come into play.
I think like a Patrick Johnson fits that, and Ogbo might fit that mold. I think APR also has the potential to be a phantom IR and go on practice squad. Like a Teron Jackson, get like a redshirt year, right? They stashed him for a couple years. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I think the top 4 are locks. Like, I don't think there's a question there. I think the question then becomes, do you keep 5? Do you keep 6 because of special teams? Because, like, if you're keeping 5, Ogbo gives you the best pass rush juice off the edge. He's looked really good in practice from what I've heard. But Patrick Johnson, the dude just balls out in preseason. Like, training camp is just his Super Bowl. Like, he's just he just makes plays, man. It's unreal. The kid, since he came onto this team, all he does is make plays. And I know we were pretty upset when he got cut last year.
Like, I thought he was, because he had a really good, like you were talking, he had a great preseason, and then he gives you that special teams. And, it's unfortunately he was let go. And I believe he was claimed by the Giants, wasn't he? Because he had to go through waivers, which he's a vested veteran now, so he doesn't have to go through waivers. So you could have a handshake agreement and say, hey.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's either him or Ogbo that goes as the vested veteran on practice squad as that.
As long as they don't add any pass rushers. That's the other thing.
I would assume it's Patrick Johnson. If he is vested, do we know he's vested?
I believe he is now, because he's been in since 2020, I believe. I think he's been in the league. I think 20 or 29. Yeah, 20. Is it 2020?
Yes, he is a vested veteran.
Okay.
Drafted in 21.
21. Okay.
Yep. So he is a vested veteran. I think that's your move there. I think he's the handshake agreement, comes back to the practice squad. and gets elevated day one as a special teams contributor, and then they wait for injuries or transactions to happen and bring him up when needed.
Yeah, we'll see when it comes to.
Really, that's my favorite part about this part of the season, is seeing how Howie navigates the rules and construct a roster.
It's just interesting too, because as we saw today, we had 4 trades go down. Was it 4? Yeah, four trades go down. Was it 4 or 5?
There were
5.
There were two D tackles and
2 D tackles, 3 receivers. Wasn't it 3 receivers?
Sky Moore, the dude from Denver, and who else?
We're missing somebody. There was someone else that was dealt.
We'll just look at our insane chat here. All right, so we had Sky Moore. We had
San Fran.
Devon Bailey.
To Saints.
For a 4th-round pick, by the way.
Yeah, that's insane. He's 27 years old, too.
Yeah. Then we had Harrison Phillips goes to the Jets. And then we had Demarcus Robinson got suspended.
Briggs, he went to the Jets too. You know what? Maybe you're right. It is only 4 because earlier in the day they were talking about some teams looking for a receiver, like the Vikings, the Jets, the 49ers. So yeah, it was only 4, but a lot of movement. And people have even said too that don't be surprised. Like you're going to have some movement of players, especially like with the way the rosters are, and certain players needing depth and whatsoever. Like the Eagles, even too. Don't be surprised if they're a little bit active, because if like the Eagles, if a player's not making the roster, a la Harrison Bryant probably isn't making the roster, they could swap him with a John Metchie who has upside, a younger player. He's been riddled with some injuries, some outside, health issues, different things. And you're able to swap that with a pick here and there. Plus, the Eagles have 13 draft picks. Yeah. So it's not like they don't have any picks that they can't be trading. They have tons of draft pick capital to be able to make a deal for maybe a guy that, potentially is on the bubble or may not be. But if you can throw a 4th or 5th round pick to a team.
It might even be like an expiring contract and there's a younger guy in the wings behind them that they're just like, we're not going to sign him in the offseason. We might as well get something for him. Like, I could totally see someone like a Greg Newsome potentially being moved. I mean, that's probably a long shot with the injuries that they have in the secondary, but like someone like that. I'm not saying that exactly.
To me, I just look at it and I think Jacorian Bennett is that guy. I don't believe they're going to go with another corner. If they go with anything, maybe they look at a veteran safety, maybe not a Kyle Duggar from the Patriots, or maybe an edge rusher.
I think edge is probably your most likely, or depth on the inside of the offensive line.
Or that I could see that as well.
And just like we're mainly talking about like end of the roster guys, right? Bubble guys, but like there is a precedence for like big deals to be done too. I mean, Khalil Mack was cut at the end or was traded to the Bears from the Raiders at the end of August. Like, I believe it was cut that day, if I'm not mistaken. So like there is precedence for big moves to be made. I don't know that the Eagles would be involved in that unless it's for like a stud edge rusher, but I could totally see them making a move for some of those picks that you were talking about with an Anais Smith or a Keely Ringo, who seemingly been demoted from first team, getting 3rd team reps and all of a sudden is injured, right? So like I could see them packaging some stuff to improve positions that they see as a little weaker.
So another guy I don't believe it's going to happen, but it's someone that I kind of thought about. His name at all. He's a lot older. He's like same age as like Brandon Graham. So it's not like he's
if you say Calais Campbell, turning off the computer. Okay.
No, I'm not saying Calais Campbell. But what about a guy like a Cameron Jordan? Like, I know he's not been super productive, but he can give you that, veteran veteran guy. He plays on the edge. Like his contract isn't terrible if he's traded, like on your end, essentially. Like if you're taking him,
Yeah.
essentially the money goes to the Saints. But
I don't hate that. I also don't see them moving him. I think if
probably not. But it's just a name that I threw out there, like an older name.
I love that because you're thinking outside the box. I'm just looking at their depth chart. If I'm seeing anybody moved, I think an Isaiah Foskey makes a ton of sense. I think he's a second or third year player at Notre Dame. He makes a lot of sense to me as an edge guy. I know you mentioned Arnold Ebiketie from former Penn State Nittany Lion. Shout out, we are. He is with the Falcons. I could see him. I know you had mentioned him as a potential trade option. I'm hearing a lot of Bradley Chubb out there as a name to watch. And Jalen Phillips. I know that the Dolphins are real desperate for corner help.
That's interesting.
So maybe a Ringo for a Phillips or a Ringo for a Chubb.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
Now, this would be more, in my eyes, maybe not a trade. Maybe, probably would be a trade. But what about a guy that would be in my opinion, would be a good number 3 safety option?
Oh.
You're not going to like the name, but I'm going to give it to you. No, Marcus Epps.
I don't hate that.
I'm just like, I know he didn't play for Vic, but I feel like, he wouldn't be a bad option. Like, or even if he's like the third safety, fourth safety, but a guy that has experience starting. Maybe he's not a starter, but can play special teams, can fill in if need be. To me, that'd be like somebody I would think about. Even a guy also outside linebacker, edge rusher type, like an Anthony Jennings from the Patriots, Alabama guy. Just trying to think of some other guys.
I feel like I keep wanting to go to edge, and I don't know why. I keep thinking edge is the position, but the more I think about it, the more I feel like they just like their dudes. Like I feel like Uche and Ojulari have really come on.
I think if they get an edge, it's going to have to be a guy that blows you away. You didn't think about. That's a guy that's going to be a game wrecker type, like a guy that nobody really talked about. That you get somebody that's going to be able to step right in and give you, what you're looking for.
What about a guy like Bryce Huff?
Don't you fucking
new guy for the Niners. Still can't believe that they gave us something for him. So looking at the Dolphins, they have Chop. I doubt they're going to give him up. They have Bradley Chubb. They just signed Matthew Judon. They have Jordan Phillips. They have Grayson Murphy sitting there.
Why not just trade for Trevon Walker with Jacksonville? How about we just do that finally?
Dude,
another Georgia guy in here.
Sign me up. What's their depth look like
they've got on the ends, they got Josh Hines Allen and Trevon Walker, and then they have Emmanuel Ogba, Dwayne Smoot. They have Miles Cole, who's 7th round pick in 24, a college free agent, Danny Stringow. Now, of course, if you look at their outside backers, Dennis Gardeck, they signed him from Arizona, so he's another edge rusher for them. And then they have 6th round pick Jalen McLeod, and
their safety, their secondary is poo poo. I mean, they like Eric Murray and Darnell Savage are battling it out at safety spot. And then you have Andrew Wingard and Antonio Johnson at the other.
Yeah.
They need a safety. Their starting corners are Tyson Campbell, who's actually a pretty nice player. Travis Hunter, if he can show that he can stay alive. And you have Jordan Lewis at the other outside spot. So maybe that's a team that you throw out Ringo.
But also, like I also look at their depth too. As you look at their interior, Devon Hamilton and Eric Armstead, and then they have Mason Smith, 2nd-round pick, Tyler Lacey, a 4th-round pick in 23. Then they have 2 veterans. One guy they just traded for, Kalen Saunders. Maybe that's the trade I'm thinking about, because that was yesterday or the day before.
Yesterday, Monday.
Austin Johnson, veteran, and then they have a 4th-round pick, Jordan Jefferson. Like, they've got a lot of defensive tackles. They're not keeping all of them.
Yeah.
When you take a look at who they're keeping, everything, like, Trevon Walker, but again, they're going to have to sign him. Dwayne Smoot and Ogba are both veterans. And then you have Dennis Gardex. They don't have much youth in terms of younger defensive ends or edge rushers. So that definitely may not be something they want to do because of there's no young players behind them.
Yeah.
So
but they also don't have a secondary. Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably a pipe dream, Trayvon Walker, but you never know.
How about this one? So taking a look at another team here, the Indianapolis Colts. They've got Latu and Kwity Paye, Taekwon Lewis, Samson Ebukam. They just drafted Tuamalu from Ohio State. So, like, what do they have? That's another thing that, think about as well. So, like, it's interesting to really look at other teams and see what their depth is and what they're potentially who could be available.
And the other name that I keep hearing, and I'm looking at their depth right now just to see, is Ojabo.
Oh, from Baltimore.
Yeah, so they have Trenton Simpson, who's kind of that like tweener, off-ball, like Sam linebacker in a Gannon defense, right? And then they have Owe. They have Tavius Robinson, and Ojabo's like 3rd or 4th in the pecking order here. So like, and then they just drafted Mike Green, right? They have Kyle Van Noy. They have Adisa Isaac. So he's just kind of buried there as their 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 6th edge. So maybe Ojabo is kind of a reclamation project that you might be able to get something out of for Anaya Smith.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're kind of spitballing here, guys. If you're listening to this, I apologize because we're just it's like we're just like brain farting all over here. But
it's a fun exercise when you look, especially towards the end of camp, when you look at other depth charts and kind of where players are sitting, what the depth looks like, that what teams that you could potentially grab a quality player from. It's really interesting to really look at it and see who could potentially fit on your squad.
This is a less sophisticated version of what Howie's doing.
Exactly.
Right. Howie's looking at where people are playing, how many snaps they're getting in preseason games, and intel they're getting from teams and coaches. Like, this is what they're doing. We're just amateurs. But like,
plus, if there's any free agents potentially that may sign later, veterans who may not have wanted to be through camp that may sign, like a Jadeveon Clowney, Justin Simmons, players like that, Stephon Gilmore, like there's guys out there that you could potentially see get signed as well.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see what happens. I like that the NFL is becoming a little more active in the trade market.
I agree. Right?
Like the trade deadline was freaking blast last year, like the NBA trade deadline used to be. I love it. And I don't think there have been multiple reports that Howie's not done. We hear that a lot, though. Everybody just kind of assumes he's going to be aggressive. He's already got 3 trades so far, 3 or 4 since the draft.
Yeah, it's about that. Yeah, you're right.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be shocked to see him make moves, probably for bottom half of the roster guys, but who knows? Maybe
it's funny. I never realized when looking at the Ravens, they've got a couple of our guys that we like coming out in the draft.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got Mike Green, Teddy Buchanan. I like Jay Higgins.
Yeah.
And then Kamon Rucker.
if Mike Green doesn't have that domestic violence or sexual assault accusation, he's probably an Eagle.
Well,
Right?
he's probably a mid first round pick at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, that's fair. But yeah, they have a lot of really, to your point, a lot of, like, I really liked Trenton Simpson coming out of college. Nate Wiggins was a heated debate here.
I liked TJ Tampa a lot last year.
TJ Tampa, big corner. But yeah, Teddy Buchanan was my dude. Adisa Isaac, we obviously
Malachi Starks. So there's a lot there.
Oh, I forgot about Malachi.
Yeah,
Kyle Hamilton guy, he's pretty good. Justice Hill in the league, which is insane.
But like you have just mentioned, Arnold Ebiketie, D'Angelo Malone, who's a little deeper on the depth chart with the Atlanta Falcons, with them drafting 2 edge rushers and having a veteran like Leonard Floyd. It's going to be interesting to see. But I could see an Ebiketie because that's kind of a guy that you're grabbing and you're getting that is going to be an impact guy for you.
Yeah. The Vikings are pretty low on receivers as well, with Jordan Addison getting suspended, Justin Jefferson dealing with some nagging injuries. Maybe that's somewhere where you get someone at the back end. They have like a Dallas Turner. Man, I would love to get Isaiah Rodgers back.
I have a weird feeling with Minnesota that, potentially could they be trying to swing a big deal to try and get McLaurin from Washington? Clearing off salary with Phillips, getting some picks there.
Yeah.
Just a thought with that.
That'd be Scary Terry, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison on one offense.
Yeah. Now, J.J. McCarthy's still your quarterback, but
then they have to find a quarterback still.
Well, you know what? Maybe Kirk Cousins gets cut. That's another thing I'm interested to kind of see. What happens there?
With the Falcons?
With Falcons and Kirk Cousins.
They already paid his salary, right? It was already guaranteed the first day of the NFL season.
Yeah.
Right, the new year. Who's their backup to Penis?
Michael.
How they put his name up on the screen as with no X instead of an X.
Yeah, that's an all-out big blooper.
So they got Michael
Easton Stick and Ben DiNucci.
Would you trade him or would you cut him? You're already paying him.
Yeah, at this point, you really can't.
I'm not rolling with Easton Stick and Ben DiNucci.
And the other thing with Atlanta, they just lost their swing tackle, Storm Norton, 6 to 8 weeks. That's a big loss, for them. Like I said, it's going to be interesting because the way that injuries impact it and everything along the lines of the way you're trying to build your roster. That's why I think that the last week and a half of preseason is very interesting because of the maneuvering of the rosters. Because next, I believe, this upcoming Tuesday is roster cut down. So,
wow.
Well, no, not this. Yeah, this upcoming Tuesday is the roster cut down, and then you have the practice squad that gets assembled and everything like that. So
who are some guys on the team that you see as potential cuts or surprise cuts or trades?
On the Philadelphia Eagles team.
The Philadelphia Eagles. Let's get back to Philadelphia Eagles. People that are listening to us don't want to hear about the Jaguars and the Falcons.
So, surprise cuts. Okay.
Doesn't necessarily have to be a surprise, but like not like a Dallas Gant, right? Like he's
not a guy you know is not going to be here.
No offense to Dallas, but.
Well, we've talked about Keely Ringo. We know kind of Keely Ringo may be a trade candidate. I don't believe it's just going to be a cut because I think they want to try to get.
Do you think they trade him?
I think if somebody's willing to trade for him, I think they would move him.
Yeah.
They're surprised. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised to see an Adoree Jackson get cut and re-signed. I'm not saying it would happen. I'm not expecting it to happen, but it's like one of those things where I'd be like, that makes sense.
that again, would be an interesting, like a guy like, I guess it wouldn't be really surprising, but interesting, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Brett Toth would be, just because of the way that they've pushed him up, you think that he kind of has a spot. I think he could be a guy. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like if they believe in Matt Pryor.
With this,
Now, I don't think Kendall Lamb's going to get cut just because he's a veteran.
Yeah,
but that could be a potential.
Hinton has not. He's looked like a rookie. I like his upside. I like him. They're giving him a lot of attention. I think they believe in him, but he's had some rough moments.
One guy that I could see, like I said, none of these are really surprise. There's no like eye-opening ones, but guys, you're thinking, I guess if you want to like talk about the corner position, Eli Ricks, I just don't think he's playing into the third and fourth quarter still.
Yeah, but so who are your five there, right? So you have
Quinion,
Coop. You have
Corian
Bennett, Ringo, Adoree.
That's five.
Yeah.
Mac McWilliams. Yeah. That's why I think Ringo's gone and Mac McWilliams.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see him being a trade target. I could see Kenyon Green getting looked at. It depends. Like, we haven't really seen. I don't think the coaching staff has really seen him all that much.
Yeah,
he's been hurt so much. But he's getting second team reps.
I don't think there's anything like on this roster that's like surprising. Like if a guy like Byron Young gets cut, you're like, okay, it's a little surprising, but like, okay, like it's nothing like that's gonna be like, oh my god, they just cut Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Like, I don't think there's anything like that of cut. Like maybe an Adoree Jackson or a Ringo that could potentially be like, okay, that's interesting.
Right.
But I don't think there's anything on the roster that's really now. Like Darius Cooper gets cut, I'll be surprised because of just the way that they've pushed him and just all the talk with that. But
I don't think they get rid of Johnny Wilson, but I think some of these guys that we think are like surprises, right? Like a Ringo or a Kenyon Kenyon, I could see being cut outright, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of these, like an Anias gets traded or a Ringo gets traded, or one of the quarterbacks,
or an Eli Ricks gets traded. Like you can see him getting dealt for a player for a late, like a end of the guy, like something like that. I wouldn't be surprised to say
safety or a depth offensive lineman or something. Yeah, I could totally see that.
So it's going to be interesting.
The only other one I would bring up, and I had a heated argument about this on Twitter, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, maybe.
I was going to say it, but I didn't.
AJ Dillon?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll get traded. I don't think he'll get cut. I think he's getting paid 1.3, which isn't terrible for a running back. He's shown that he's healthy for now. I think he's a good closer 4-minute back for the team, who obviously likes to run it out at the end of games. I think
he could be a perfect Jordan Howard with hands, essentially.
1,000%. I really like him. I don't know where this jump cut came from, but someone that's 250 pounds like that should not be able to bounce and come down like that.
The only thing I would say, and I don't think it's going to happen because there's been a couple teams that have been kind of hit with a little bit of an injury bug. One being the team that John Metchie was just on, in the Houston Texans, because Mixon looks like he probably won't start the year, and they'll just have Chubb and a couple other guys. Like if you cut an AJ Dillon, I wouldn't be surprised if he signs right with Houston to be the backup running back there. And even if they like Montreal Johnson, I think you still can get him on the practice squad.
I don't think they'll have a problem getting him on. He doesn't have enough on tape, and he was a UDFA. And if he does get cut, like I think you could replace his production. As much as I like him, as much as I like that player, like you could find him or like a TDP or someone like that. I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen, but like running backs, they kind of grow on trees from a practice squad perspective.
Yeah.
Especially with this offensive line. Like I don't think it's as much of an emphasis. But yeah, that's the only other one I think would be surprised. Like I wouldn't be super shocked to see Trevor Keegan get cut.
Okay. Yeah, that's another one there.
He's a draft pick, so in that respect, it would be surprising.
You can't keep all your draft picks sometimes. Like at some point you have to realize like how much more time you're going to give somebody.
Yeah.
And I know for him it's not.
Yeah.
Because he's been on the team only 2 years, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think one guy that would make the roster that would actually be a surprise to me if they made it would be Granson.
That would be a little bit of a surprise.
I don't think they'll keep 3, but he's also on like starting kickoff. He's on kick return. Like he's playing a ton of specials for a dude that might not make the roster. I'm back and forth on him and how many tight ends they keep, but this whole thing is going to be absolutely fascinating. I don't know if we probably won't have a show before the cut downs, but maybe we'll do a little offline 53-man projection and see who gets closest.
I'm okay with that. All right. I want to bring this up before we head out. So we were talking about 2020, 2021 Eagles. Just
this is a trivia.
No. Take a listen to this offense. This was the game against the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
So this was back towards the end of 2020. Okay.
Greg Ward starting out wide.
Yeah. Starting quarterback was Jalen Hurts, of course.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders, the running back. Their receivers were Greg Ward, Jalen Reagor.
Yep.
And then, of course, you had
JJ Ortega.
Well, you had Alshon did play this game. But you had Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. Your offensive line was the starting tackles were Mailata and Matt Pryor. Your starting center was Jason Kelsey, of course. Starting guards were Isaac Seumalo and Nate Herbig.
Oof.
Then we go on defense. Defense, listen, the defensive line I think was still okay. Derek Barnett, Brandon Graham, Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox, solid.
Yeah.
A rookie, TJ Edwards, undrafted rookie. So at this point, very unproven and unknown. But we were calling for him to be playing over Nate Gary. So,
I mean, he had a pretty good rookie season. Yeah, go ahead.
Alex Singleton.
Oh.
Okay, now get ready. This is rough. You're starting secondary.
Yeah, Michael Jacquet.
Corners. Michael Jacquet and Nickel Roby-Coleman as the nickel. Jalen Mills. And then your safeties were Marcus Epps and Kevon Wallace.
Dark times, man. We've come a long way. Wow. Epps was a good player. I think he gets unnecessary shit. And Singleton was a good player in like the right defense, right? Like not for a team that doesn't blitz. He needs to go forward at all times. But yeah,
I still couldn't believe what I couldn't believe was that
Michael Jacquet
at 4-9-1 the next week they still had a chance to win the division.
Yeah.
Remember how they started that game first quarter, they were up 14-3. You're like, and then, when you're looking at Carolina and Washington, Carolina's winning. I believe Carolina won that game because that was the early game.
Yeah.
Or they were playing at the same time. Carolina wind up winning. It's just, and then of course you would play Washington the next week and then let them win. So you would.
Did I ask you this question about the preseason? Why we always wear white? Do we know?
So the only time they didn't wear white recently is when they went to Cleveland. They wore
green.
But I think they
started, but I don't know why they continued the tradition. Right? Like it initially started when Nike took over and Chip was the head coach, and they couldn't get the green right. or they couldn't do it in time, right? Which is why the green's slightly different than it was when Adidas was our supplier. And I remember that, and we wore white going into the beginning of the season too. But it's an interesting tradition that we wear all whites at home for every preseason game.
I'm going to have to try to find that answer.
Yeah.
Because
the other thing
it's interesting.
The other thing I want to look up is obviously there's a big emphasis on safety. I feel like the Eagles have to have the highest percentage of adoption of newer, safer helmets than any other team in the NFL. There have been a ton of guys that have come in and said, I want a Speedflex, which is not a bad helmet. And within a week or two, they're in an Axiom, which is like the newest, safest helmet, which is right here, the Saquon helmet. I think it's interesting. I'm going to have to look that up and see if I can find some stats. But I was noticing that as I was watching that dog shit preseason game, because everyone that comes in gets an upgrade on their helmet. So
interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I wonder if they're. I think their training staff emphasizes that and says we recommend this over what you were wearing.
Hey, if that is the case, then I'm all for players being healthy.
Those two things have been bothering me.
Well, we'll try and find the answers.
There you go.
And then, with that, as we always do, we always end it with a very happy and joyful. Go Birds!
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.